and thank you for joining us here on All Things Heart. I'm Alexis Del-Cid. We are working hard on the upcoming season of All Things Heart to bring you some incredible, exciting programs in the coming weeks and months. This morning, we have an encore presentation of one of our favorite episodes for you. So sit back and enjoy this best of All Things Heart.
Whenever I hear anybody who's on the fence, I'm like, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
Coming up today on All Things Heart, as the weight piled on, her heart was at risk. What finally inspired this Kansas City mom to take the plunge and get a potentially life-saving surgery.
From the University of Kansas Health System.
I am amazed. The team here is great.
I came on a Tuesday, and then by Saturday I had a heart in me.
I have never seen a group of people work together so good as this team of heart specialists. I mean, it's just unreal.
Stand by to set up show.
And the Dolph C. Simons Jr. Family Broadcast Studio.
Roll it.
Always makes you feel like you're the most important patient on the planet.
I felt heard, and that was really big.
This is All Things Heart.
Good morning to you. It's Thursday, September 22nd. I'm Alexis Del-Cid, and welcome back to All Things Heart. Here's what we're talking about today. Weight gain and the heart, the procedure that gave a woman her life back. We'll tell you why she knew she was at a unique risk for heart complications from this extra weight, and how her journey inspired others in her family to make a big change as well. It's really a remarkable story. And of course, we love when you send us your questions. So be sure to submit them to us on YouTube, Facebook, and the All Things Heart email. You'll find the links right here on your screen. Embarrassed, ashamed, and unworthy. That's how Melissa Rivera describes feeling in her lowest moments. No matter what she tried, she kept gaining weight. And she found herself feeling so isolated. Finally, she said, enough is enough.
I feel good. I feel good. It's going to be a lifelong process, and I knew that going into it.
No matter how healthy and happy Melissa Rivera is now, with her husband, 2 daughters, and a jam-packed life, there are still memories that cut her no matter how much time has passed.
The worst thing that I can remember happening was going into a quick trip, and my husband and I, we had like party after party to go to and birthdays and this and that, and I was so hungry, and it obviously was very heavy at the time, and I went in to get a hot dog and there were no buns. And so I went to the guy, the cashier, and I said, excuse me, I said, I'm so sorry. I said, there's no buns. Do you have any? And he looked at me and he goes, yeah, I don't think you need a hot dog.
Melissa did not grow up battling her weight. For her, the nightmare began right after she turned 20.
I gained 80 pounds in 6 months.
She had no idea what was causing the rapid weight gain or why, despite exercising and restricting calories, she kept gaining weight. And her health problems began mounting, from joint pain to being diagnosed as pre-diabetic, poor mobility, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, acid reflux, and exhaustion, just to name a few. And she had the added worry, COPD and congestive heart failure run in her family.
My mom and dad and my brother all passed away prior to my surgery, within about 2 years of my surgery. And each of them were health-related issues. And so for me, having all these extremely traumatic things within a year and a half before me making this decision really solidified it, because I'm like, that's not where I want to go.
The list of things she could not do was getting longer than the list of what she could do. She could no longer ride roller coasters, take bike rides, paint her toenails, even cross her legs. And she says she felt a certain kind of shame.
Like if I would meet somebody, I would immediately look down because I didn't feel like keeping eye contact was something that I should do, because I didn't feel like I was worth it, honestly.
Finally, she was diagnosed by a doctor here at the University of Kansas Health System with polycystic ovary syndrome. And she learned for many women, rapid and drastic weight gain is a symptom.
It was like, look, this is the way your body is. You're insulin resistant, you have PCOS, you're not going to lose weight the way you want to. So
frustrating.
She knew gastric bypass surgery was an option, but for decades she continued to try to lose the weight on her own. The final straw came when some coworkers asked her if she wanted to walk a few blocks to lunch with them one afternoon. she realized she had to say no because she couldn't physically make that walk.
And it was horrible. It was horrible for me to realize that this is what it's come to. Me saying no to so many invitations, me saying, people thinking that I don't want to do things with them, not realizing I was shutting myself off, not because I meant to, but because I realized what my physical limitations were.
She then picked up the phone and made a call, setting the wheels in motion for the procedure that would give Melissa her life back after 26 years of suffering.
We are thrilled to have Melissa here with us today, and also here in studio with me we have Melissa's surgeon, Dr. Jennifer McAllister. Thank you for being here. Good morning, thank you. And we also have cardiologist Dr. Travis Love. Thank you for being here, Dr. Love.
Yeah, morning.
Melissa, thank you for sharing your story with us. How long has it been since your surgery, and how are you feeling today?
It's been about 3 years. I feel great. I feel great.
And that's what we like to hear. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
Dr. McAllister, I want to ask you this. Melissa battled this for 26 years before she finally decided to go on ahead and get this surgery done. Is that typical for patients? I mean, do they usually come to you after years and years of suffering through this?
Oh, absolutely. And what we know, obesity or suffering from excess weight is a lifelong battle for many patients. And, choosing surgery, that's not an easy decision. And it's not an easy route to a healthier life either. It takes a lot of work on the patient's part. But we know they're successful operations and they're safe operations.
How serious of a weight battle does it have to be for you to consider the surgery? Do you ever tell people, no, you're not a good candidate because there are other things at play here?
Yeah, so in general, patients who qualify for bariatric surgery on average about 100 pounds over their ideal body weight. And so if we look at insurance terms like BMI,
right,
generally it's a BMI above 40 or a BMI above 35 if the patient has other health problems that go along with the obesity. And most patients are good candidates for these operations. There are some, though, who may have other comorbidities or just too high risks where they won't tolerate an operation. We now have great resources of medical weight loss for patients as well, for those who don't qualify for bariatric surgery. And most importantly, we love to have patients like Melissa. They're motivated, they're dedicated, she had researched everything thoroughly, and so she knows how to take her tool and use it and have success.
Melissa was the perfect patient, by all accounts, is the perfect patient. I want to bring in Dr. Love, our cardiologist, to talk a little bit about what's happening inside the body when the body is gaining weight. What makes that so hard on the heart?
Yeah, so obesity drives inflammation in the body, and it makes it hard for the body to utilize insulin like it's supposed to, and therefore you end up with higher blood sugar, high blood pressure. You're more at risk for arrhythmias and just overall heart disease, coronary artery disease. And so this inflammation and insulin resistance is a big part of the driver for why people have heart disease and struggle from other problems.
Melissa had talked about how her family has a history of heart issues. So is it common? Is it common now for a cardiologist to suggest weight loss surgery as an option, or is that something that you don't touch and you stay out of?
Oh, no, I think we're exactly the people that should be referring these patients. I mean, we see all these people that have cardiovascular disease that are obese. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's a very high percentage. I'd say around 80% of people with cardiovascular disease are obese, and so we're the ones that should be referring these patients to get treated, because there's great data to support that your risk of overall cardiovascular disease, cardiovascular mortality, stroke goes down after bariatric surgery.
So you guys are working closely with each other's fields on
Yeah,
this.
absolutely.
We have some really good viewer questions coming in, and the first one is for Melissa. Melissa, Tom has a question for you. Tom wants to know what the recovery was like.
So because I had done such extensive research, none of it came as a shock to me. Recovery actually was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. My surgery was on December the 10th, and by Christmas I was up and making Christmas dinner for my family. So I couldn't eat any of it, but that was okay. Yeah. I was still in that like honeymoon phase where I just didn't care at all. So I mean, of course, you go through pain, and If you eat something that you're not supposed to, your body absolutely will tell you. But it took about 3 months, and I say at the 3-month mark, it was almost like a switch had been flipped, and all of the issues that I had, you know, with surgery, any types of little pains or aches or incisions, or and most importantly, my energy level at that 3-month mark, I felt completely normal. And I felt like I did when I was a teenager. I had so much energy. I didn't know what to do with it. I started just going crazy, doing all the things that I wasn't able to do before.
On that note, since your surgery, both your husband and one of your daughters, if I'm not mistaken, also had weight loss surgery. So were they inspired by your journey? Was this something they had not considered till they saw you do it?
Yes. So I think probably my husband had considered it, but it was something that he just, you know, was just too worried about, kind of thing. And I never really discussed it with them. And I think in the beginning it was a little bit difficult for them to see the changes that I was going through because, you know, as a mom, they're used to me doing the mom things the same way every time. And, you know, so this was the first time that I was only taking care of myself. And it was extremely empowering for me, but I think it was extremely confusing for everybody else. Like, okay, now where do we fit in here and that kind of thing. So it took a little bit of time for everything to like settle down and for them to realize that, okay, now mom's taking care of herself. She can take even better care of us. And once that, you know, realization kind of hit, everybody was just like, okay, this makes perfect sense now. It just took a little bit of time for everybody to understand my journey the way I already did.
Jenny has a great question for Dr. McAllister. If you can just talk a bit about the exact surgery you performed. What exactly did you do inside Melissa that helped her lose this weight?
Yes, so Melissa had what we call the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, which we perform laparoscopically, so a minimally invasive operation, a little easier and faster recovery. And with this operation, again, you can see there are the schematics. So that's the laparoscopic instruments that we place inside the abdominal cavity, and then we instill CO2 gas, which lifts up the belly wall off the intestines so that we can see to operate. And so then on the stomach, this is considered both a restrictive and what we call a malabsorptive operation. And so first, as you zoom into the stomach there, we make the upper portion of the stomach into a small pouch. So it can hold about 20 or 30 cc's of fluid, you know, about the size of a large egg. We then come down the small intestine and then we divide it. And we bring one limb up. That's now called the Roux limb, R-O-U-X, and so that's where the Roux-en-Y comes for. And then that is sewn into that stomach pouch, so that's connected. And then we reconnect the small intestine down from where it was divided. So now when patients eat, they feel full more quickly and can't take in as much. And the food, you can see there's the connection there. We do this operation a little more quickly than the animation, but when you eat, you feel more quickly, and the food is coming down.
You do it more quickly than this?
Well, I do it, I explain it more quickly than the animation. So no, the operation usually takes right around an hour, actually. So about 1 hour, which is still brief operating times. But so food empties the small intestine more rapidly as well, and we bypass part of the intestine that would have been sensing and absorbing those nutrients. And so how we used to always describe it that way, we restrict how much you can take in, we bypass part that would have been absorbing those calories. But really what we know is that when food empties into the small intestine more rapidly, it changes our gut's hormonal response to eating. And so it's with those hormonal changes that we have improved feeling of fullness, that we also can help cure or treat diabetes, high blood pressure, hyperlipidemia. And so it's really that metabolic effect. And that's just one of the bariatric operations that we perform.
How many of those surgeries do you perform a month?
Oh, a month. We hundreds every year, you know, thousands over the course of our career.
And how long have you been doing that?
10 years.
So you've got it down. Obviously, it's a science. I mean, that's of course you have it down. She's the surgeon. We know you've got it down. But this is something. It looks so complicated, and you just know exactly what to do and go in there and.
It is. What we know is these are safe operations. You're right, it does take a lot of time and training, and everyone's bodies are different, and so part of that is making sure we try to optimize the patient's health as much as possible going into surgery. But these are, you know, safer than a joint replacement, almost as safe as having your appendix or gallbladder out.
I want to ask Dr. Love, this is actually a question from one of our viewers, wants to know if there are any, Derek wants to know if there are any long-term risks or dangers to your heart to losing weight too quickly. Like you'll hear a story about someone losing 100 pounds in a month, or those crash diets. Can that affect your heart? This is not a crash diet, but talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know of any data that would support, you know, rapid weight loss like that affecting the heart in a bad way. It's pretty tough to lose 100 pounds in a month just through, you know, diet and exercise.
Right.
We typically recommend, you know, around a pound a week or 2 pounds a week if you're exercising and dieting. But no, I don't know of any data that's going to adversely affect the heart.
I have a question for Melissa. Melissa, one of the interesting things that you revealed during our discussion when we interviewed you is that your gravity changed, your balance shifted after the surgery, and you had to relearn how to balance. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So as I lost the weight very rapidly, I feel like it was almost muscle memory for my legs to walk a certain way to support my body at that weight. So, you know, after losing very quickly, you know, 50 pounds within whatever, 3 months or whatever, I would find myself kind of like having to get my balance again, and then just kind of relearn. And you know, then I, you know, started building more muscle and, you know, exercising and doing things that I needed to do to keep my body healthier and tighter. And it didn't take long for that, but that was something that I wasn't prepared for to feel like my center of balance was off from the weight loss so fast.
Kim Bosley just wrote, and she has a question for the doctors. At what point do the doctors recommend this surgery? First, I'll start with Dr. Love. At what point would you refer a patient to Dr. McAllister?
Yeah, exactly what Dr. McAllister said earlier. When you're about 100 pounds of your ideal body weight is typically when we start thinking about making the referral for surgery, or like she said, in insurance terms, the BMI of 35 with diabetes or sleep-related problems, or greater than 40 without those things. So those are the times to refer.
And then that's when they come to you and you say, let's do it. This is a great plan. This is a great plan.
Yes,
right?
After a thorough evaluation and an understanding from the patient too. Like Melissa stated, she had researched this thoroughly.
Sure.
And after surgery, and to touch on that very rapid weight loss of the 100 pounds in a month, and can that be dangerous? That can be dangerous. So patients really have to be diligent about staying hydrated, with protein intake, healthy nutrition. And then to Melissa's point, with that rapid weight loss, patients are not only losing fat mass, but they're also losing muscle mass as part of that in those early stages. And so after the initial healing and recovery time, well, we really work on being diligent with not only cardiovascular exercise, but also resistance training so that we can try and maintain that muscle mass. But she's right, rapid weight loss, it significantly changes the body. And so,
it must feel so strange to get up and walk, and you can see your toes and you can do things like that. Jenny has another question for Dr. McAllister. Jenny wants to know, are there any long-term risks from getting this bariatric surgery?
There are, and so we definitely have a thorough discussion with patients, and it's a long process of getting ready for the time of surgery. And so part of that, there are certain things that they have to be aware of. There's certain operations where they have to be cautious of the medications that they take. Also, changing the anatomy can change how patients absorb certain medications. So oftentimes we have to kind of tweak or make adjustments there to their medication regimens. And like I mentioned, they really have to be diligent with taking their vitamins and supplements afterwards so they can avoid any nutritional or vitamin or nutrient deficiencies. And then there's some low risk of hernia and other things that are associated with any operation, but then more specifically with some of the bariatrics. But overall, very low risk, and much lower risk than those other comorbidities are to long-term health.
The things that Melissa was experiencing.
Yes,
the
absolutely.
risk of COPD. Denise has a question for Dr. Love. And Dr. Love, I think you touched on this. How often do you see someone having heart problems because of their weight? Did you say 80%?
Yeah, I think that's probably about right.
That's a lot. So 80% of heart problem patients, it's because of their weight.
Have obesity. I wouldn't say it's all directly to their weight, right? Like there's genetics and other things that play into this, but yeah, it's a pretty high percentage.
Question for Melissa from Michaela. This is a great question, and Melissa, I think you'll have something interesting to say about this. Michaela wants to know if you're still angry or bitter at people who weren't nice to you when you were heavier. And if so, if not, how did you forgive that?
Actually, no. I'm not bitter about it because I feel like so much of society looks down on people with weight issues, and I think it's become a norm. Everybody you see on TV looks a certain way. I think the next generation coming up, you know, there's a couple of singers and stars and things like this that are a little bit bigger, and I just feel like it's just been such a cultural thing. So no, I'm not bitter, angry. I'm happy for everybody to be the way that they are, and I'm, you know, hoping with time that that's how everyone's attitudes will be.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your husband? Because one of the things that, you know, you run out of time when you're telling a story for someone for a program, but one of the things that we loved hearing was how your husband and you were high school sweethearts, or had started dating right after high school, and he's been with you through all of this.
Yeah, we actually met when I was 17. We started dating, right when I was 18, I think, and we've been together 30 years. And he's just the best, and I know many people here in the hospital know him because we both worked in the hospital for 26 years together, and he's just the nicest, kindest person, and he really just wants the best. So he is the one person that was always a cheerleader for me, no matter what size I was. It was never an issue, and he was the one person that always made me feel comfortable.
And you sent us some really beautiful pictures of your family and you. Real quick, the viewers are going to want to know, what do you do here in the health system?
I am a coordinator in the pediatric department, so mainly I work with credentialing and payroll.
But there are one of the perks of working here is that you do your research. She made the ideal patient, Dr. McAllister. Tell us what made Melissa so great as a patient and continues to make her.
Well, absolutely. So like we've said, highly motivated patient who really, she had tried numerous things, but she just needed a long-lasting tool that wasn't going to go away. You know, something key that I think between Melissa and Antonio, her husband, and then with their daughter also, shows that what a support system will do to help with recovery from this. So when I see them back in the office, wow, the things they're doing as a family, how active they are, they're making those healthy food choices together because they know that's a priority. And so what started with Melissa, those changes then went to the entire family, and even family members who haven't had the operation are now having a healthier lifestyle just based on that support system. So all those things are wonderful and key ingredients to success.
I want to go back to Melissa because, you know, there's a lot of misinformation in that it's just what you eat, and it turns out you have or had polycystic ovary syndrome that was causing this, and also one of your daughters never has had to battle her weight. And you guys all eat the same stuff, you do the same stuff as a family, but it truly was like a lottery in your family, and one of you didn't get hit with this battle.
Yes. My husband's side of the family, it's just hit or miss, and so actually 2 of my children have never had to deal with any type of weight issues at all, and we all did the same things, ate the same things, so I mean, yeah, I guess it was a genetic lottery that those 2 won.
What did your, and this goes to some of the things, Dr. Love, that you were saying about the effects on the heart. What did it feel like before your surgery, when you had that extra weight, just walking down the hallway? Would it be like exhaustion, heart pounding? What did it feel like in your chest?
I would have, I felt like I had a hard time breathing. I felt like I would have a hard time catching my breath. I could literally I was almost like feeling the work of my heart, you know, pulsating, you know, through my body. Just, you know, and I know I'm like, okay, I have to get to the end of the hallway or, you know, whatever, without letting anybody know that I'm struggling here because, you know, I was just over 40. I don't want people thinking that, you know, I'm 80 years old, which is what I felt like. So yeah, you can just definitely feel it, like with every step, like how much pressure you're putting on yourself.
We got an email from Lauren, and Lauren just wanted to, I think, give you a shout out. Lauren writes, I know all too well the feeling of shame that you mentioned. I've been overweight my whole life. I try to be positive, but the weight really hits at my self-worth. How do you feel about yourself now post-surgery?
I mean, I've gone through an emotional whirlwind of relearning who I am, relearning how to take care of myself. So I would say I'm in a much better place now, mentally, physically, you know, the whole thing. And I feel stronger. I feel mentally stronger. I feel focused. I don't feel like I need to hide. I was always a fairly confident person outwardly. I don't think anyone probably knew what was going on. But now it's genuine, and it's through and through. I feel great, and you know, I have no issues with it.
We want to bring in some final thoughts now before we wrap this up. And Melissa, I want to start with you. What would you say to someone who's been considering doing a surgery like this or looking into it, but is still afraid?
The preparation for me is the key. Every ounce of information you can get your hands on. You're going to get information from individuals that have already had the surgery. I suggest reaching out to someone, because I can't imagine at this point you don't know somebody who's gone through this, or a friend of a friend. Reach out and talk and do your research and read and read and read. Play out all the different scenarios, make your plan. And you really have to be committed. You have to say, you know what, this is my moment. This is my moment to jump and start living. So you may be scared. You're always going to be scared, but you just need to take the first step.
That's a great message. Dr. McAllister, what would you like to say to our viewers who are watching you?
Yes, well, I would say that bariatric surgery is a safe operation, and it's a safe choice for many, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily the right choice for everyone, or they may not be ready for that step right away. The important thing is that we know this is a disease, and it's an important to treat disease. And so they can use their healthcare providers as resources. We have many options now that are not only surgical, but also non-surgical options, and we use those both before the procedures and afterwards if need. The more important thing is to know this isn't a lack of willpower. It's not a weakness. This is a disease, and we're here to help treat it however that fits for the patient.
That's such a good message. I just hated hearing Melissa say, when you said you didn't like looking people in the eye, Melissa, that just kind of really got me when you said that. Dr. Love, what would be your message as a cardiologist?
Yeah, you know, as a cardiologist and somebody who gives people medicine to treat disease, people are always reluctant to take medication. Nobody wants to take medication. I don't like taking medication. I certainly don't really like prescribing it unless I have to. People are reluctant to do that. People are reluctant to get surgeries sometimes. But when you're talking about your health, there's certain things you need to do to protect yourself. And sometimes when you're obese, the foundation of a lot of your medical problems, like hypertension, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, could be coming from that obesity. And so considering an option like bariatric surgery and at least talking to your provider about it would be a great first step.
And just knowing all your options, like Melissa was saying.
Right.
Thank you so much to Melissa for sharing her story. And of course, we love when our doctors are here. And of course, we love having our doctors on the show for this other segment, because we get to know them. We call this Behind the Mask, where we show our viewers what doctors are like in real life when they're not here at the hospital playing superhero. I want to start with Dr. McAllister, because Dr. McAllister, you sent us an array of pictures. First picture is you holding a basket of farm eggs and a beautiful glass of Chardonnay. That looks like a dream day. Where are you?
Yeah, so my husband and I, we have a small family farm.
Okay.
And so far it only has chickens. And I'll have to say, he does all the work with the chickens, because clearly I'm not as productive.
When
I'm out there, I have my cute little egg basket and my glass of wine. So.
And then we have another picture of you. I love this one. Turns out you are a huge Elton John fan, and you were at the farewell tour. So where was this?
So this was at the Sprint Center, and certainly no offense to Elton John, because I am a big fan, but I'm a huge fan of spending time with my best friends. So this was an evening with my best friends that just happened to be Sir Elton John was in attendance as well.
So I wanted to ask you, what do you listen to when you're performing the surgeries? Because I've been in surgeries now working here, and I love getting to know what the doctors like to listen to. Do you listen to Elton John? What do you listen to?
Yeah, we do. You know, we usually poll the room and see what everyone wants to listen to for the day. And you know, it makes for it takes the pressure off.
Sure.
It makes the whole room at ease. It helps the nursing staff and the scrub techs, I think, feel at ease talking to us, asking questions, always being willing to say, "Well, I'm not sure about what we need here."
Yeah.
So I think it helps put the whole room at ease. Personally. Country and Christmas are just the two that I say we're not playing those today.
Okay,
so
okay.
Christmas music can come on Christmas Eve.
Right.
And country music, they sneak in once I'm scrubbed in and sterile and
can't
touch anything. So
that's great.
Yep.
Okay, Dr. Love, it turns out, Dr. Love, you have 3 things you're very passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at thing 1 and thing 2. Pretty adorable. Tell me who you're holding in your arms there.
Yeah, so my 2 sons, my oldest Grayson, my youngest Jack.
How old are they?
4 is my oldest, almost 5, and then my youngest is 3.
That looks like a postcard.
My youngest boy.
Is that a postcard? It looks like the picture you'd steal out of the Walgreens frame.
It's from when we went to the beach, I think, 6 or 7 months ago.
And we want to get to thing number 3.
Yep.
She's about the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
Look at that smile. Who is that?
Yeah, that's my little daughter Elizabeth. We call her Birdie. She's 11 weeks. So
11 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Not to correct you, I'm passionate about 4 things. My wife is also included.
Oh,
in that.
good answer.
I just kept her off the pictures.
Okay, well, we're going to have you on again, so we're going to need to see Mrs. Love.
Sure.
Because we need the full picture here.
Okay.
How do you not have bags under your eyes having an 11-week baby at home and 2 little ones?
My wife is very good to me, and she lets me sleep. So.
You're a good man. Give her a shout out. We also love something else here. We love our Kansas City media friends, and we want to give a huge shout out to Fox 4 meteorologist Joe Loria. And here's why. Joe Loria emceed a fantastic event on Monday that raised a ton of money that will help countless patients here at the health system. It was the annual Golfology for Cardiology. It was a huge success. It raised around $115,000 in one day for the Advanced Heart Care Center, which means if you or someone you love comes here for cardiac care, this money will directly help you. It goes to all sorts of places, including rehab, to cardiac nurse navigators who guide you every step of the way through your health journey and everything in between. So thank you so much to everyone who took part in this fundraiser and to Joe there. You guys rallied, and your generosity brought in around $115,000. That's huge. Thank you so much for being with us today and watching. And again, a huge thank you to Drs. Love and Dr. McAllister and our fabulous patient, Melissa Rivera, who shared her journey with us.